Hello Flickering Myth family and welcome back to our channel, and if you're new here, thank you so much for joining us and make sure you subscribe. In this video, we are going to be discussing a brand new movie review. The Hunger Games has a prequel that's about to hit the theaters, and we are about to discuss The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Buckle up, Hunger Games fans, because this review is going to be a bit brutal for you if you were really looking forward to this. Though I will say, first and foremost, always go see the movie for yourself. I know I'm a critic, but I'm about to say something that sounds crazy to most people. Just see it for yourself. Don't trust every critic. If you're really interested in this, watch it. But if you were on the fence about it like I was, oh boy, I don't know what to say about this movie. It's uninspired, it's unsubtle, it's pretentious. It actually lacks a purpose. And here's the weirdest thing. I was looking forward to this movie. The weirdest thing about that is I have never seen a Hunger Games movie in my life. So I was really excited. I don't know. It kind of flew by me while I was in film school. So I was kind of curious to see what the Hunger Games could have been. I was walking into this prequel, not, knowing I didn't have to have all this previous knowledge. I understood the basic concept. So I was like, cool, let me see what this is about. Maybe I'll want to go revisit the franchise. But honestly, by the end of this, I'll just kind of Google what happens to Snow and I'll be done with it, because wow, this movie gave me nothing. The action scenes are boring and the VFX lack any real depth to them. There's some really wonky VFX as well. Yeah, and the characters, they're uninteresting, uncharismatic, especially our lead actor, the guy who plays Snow. Some people are going to love him, some people are going to hate him. I'm in the category of finding him dull. I can't even love or hate him. I have no feeling towards him. The character does get a bit better as the movie progresses. But then we have Lucy Gray. Okay, none of these characters are really that interesting. Really, I don't want to hang out with them. I don't want to spend time with them. So when I'm stuck with a overly long movie, spending time with characters that I don't find interesting, that I don't find have compelling stories, what am I dealing with? And then I'm like, cool, the Hunger Games stuff, it's bloodless. It lacks any real depth. They're showing me deaths and they're showing me violence happening, but I'm not connecting to it. One, because the characters are so poorly written, or they're so obviously trying to make you feel bad about a scene that you're like, wow, isn't this sad? Isn't this sad? The movie's telling you to feel sad right now, so feel it. No. Don't tell me what to do, show me. This movie is a lesson in show, don't tell. They tell you every emotion, everything every character is thinking. Any subtle moment that's supposed to be there, it's gone. They're going to yell it at you, so they make sure you know how to feel. By the end of this, I was just like, I don't care about any of these people. I don't care about the story. I keep wanting to call this man Cornelius Snow, but, the guy who ends up becoming President Snow, he's a young man in this film, and he's discovering himself as he lives in the capital. They're about to start the 10th Hunger Games, and he's pretty privileged, and he thinks he's going to get an easy pass because he's worked very hard for it. Well, this year's Hunger Games is going to be a bit different, and he has to mentor somebody from District 12, and it's the Rachel Zegler character, which is Lucy Gray Baird, and she's okay. She's definitely a singer. She's not really a fighter, so he has his work cut out for him. So he starts trying to find ways to get her an advantage into this Hunger Games. Then we see the Hunger Games, and I'm like, oh, wow, this already happened. About an hour and so into the movie. Good, let's get out of here. There's another hour. This movie has the painful idea of shoving two very separate ideas, which it feels like two separate movies, into one large 2-hour and 20-minute experience. And I don't think either movie that they presented was great. The first half is the Hunger Games story. It's a actiony, kind of violent movie with real fun, outlandish characters. At least they try to be. Everyone who is, other than the two leads, everyone is pretty interesting other than our two leads. So we have that story. Then the second half of this movie is the young adult romance, dealing with our feelings, maybe a character study at times. It really tries to do a lot with the weak characters we met in the first half and then trying to flesh them out in the second half. You just don't really care. So both of these movies just don't work. And I felt, one, that the second half of this movie could have been a whole separate movie, and I would have walked away from this a bit kinder. Because the Hunger Games battle, the action set pieces, as uninspired as I felt they were, there was some moments that I was like, oh, okay, I'm into this. I've seen Battle Royale. I like the idea of this kind of story, so I was interested of what they're doing. But boy, if they're shoving their messages down your throat, this movie, again, is painfully unsubtle, so you're just like, okay, let's just get through all of the talking, let's get to the games themselves, and the games aren't really that interesting, but, there's enough happening to keep you there with the action, so when everything halts to a screeching stop, and we definitely have to spend more time with our characters in that second half talking to them, finding out about their feelings and their emotions, I was like itching in my seat to get out. I just found all of these characters, all of these actors to just be such low-key performances that aren't outlandish, aren't memorable. I could not tell you a personality trait of Snow's character. Lucy Gray, other than singing, what is her character? At least Viola Davis understood the assignment. They said act, and she said, I will eat instead, and eat up every scene, every bit of the scenery. She was chewing this up, so at least somebody was having fun. But Peter Dinklage, tuning in another Peter Dinklage type performance where he's, drunken, a bit messy, he doesn't agree with the system. It's the character Peter Dinklage has played. So an actor who I usually like, I got to see him be so weak here, and I'm just spending more time talking about this movie than I want. We talked about what I didn't like about it. We talked about the actual story and what happens and what unfolds. Now let's get into what could have fixed this movie. You know what, first and foremost, could have fixed this movie? Giving me characters to root for. Snow is so obviously going to turn into a bad guy, so when the first half of this movie is like, well, he's, confused, he's conflicted, but he's still doing pretty bad stuff, I don't care about him. The Lucy Gray character is basically just a conduit to get Snow's evil heel turn by the end of this movie, so she doesn't even feel like a real person. She's just there to progress the male storyline. So what is going on here? Honestly, give me good characters. Like, I don't know much about the original franchise, but Katniss is a fully realized character from what I've gathered. And there's PETA, and there's these other people in this movie that I feel like actually get personalities, and that's not just in the whole franchise. I feel like in that first movie, from what I've gathered, they actually get to flesh these people out and get to know them, but I don't know the people who are in the games, really. I don't know the mentors that they give them, so you don't really have an emotional connection, and this movie is talking about, wow, we should really get the viewers, the people in the Capitol, to connect to the people playing the games, and they'll get more viewership, they'll get more donations, etc., but the movie's not doing that. So honestly, if I was part of the Capitol, I would have tuned this off. Bam, done. No more Hunger Games for me. It's weird that the movie's just like, wow, we really need entertaining people to make a movie. And I'm like, y'all do need entertaining people to make a movie, and you're not giving me that. So we could have fixed that. We could have also slowed this movie down. It tries to do so much. It breezes through the Hunger Games stuff. As much as it takes up an actual chunk of the time of the movie, I don't get enough of the times with the Hunger Games, and that really sucks because this movie is called Hunger Games. I wanted to spend more time in the battle, in the field, getting to know these characters, getting to know their struggles, spending more time with Snow and Lucy Gray, getting to actually bond and do it. Everything is so rushed with these two. By the time they're starting to give each other like lovey-dovey eyes, I'm like, is this earned? Do I care? So great, fine. Then the second half of this movie tries to flesh out their relationship, but I don't believe it. And we've gone through arcs with Snow's character that I'm like, again, why am I spending time with him? I don't think every character, every lead character needs to be the best person ever, but he's an obviously shitty character, and I'm spending time with this person who is just screaming to be a bad guy, and I'm like, make him a bad guy and end the movie already. Like, I could not fathom why I needed to see this movie, why it was even made, who is it for, because even diehard Hunger Games fans, other than when they're like, here's a reference to the main franchise with this heavy-handed name drop, and you're like, okay, like, I just don't know. I just don't know what really could have fixed it. So slowing it down, chopping this up to two different movies, at least by the time the Hunger Games movie would have ended, I would have been like, fine, not great, but well, let's see when they flesh out characters more. Oh, you're doing that in this movie, so I don't even think I need to come back. If they try to do a sequel to this prequel, there's no point. There is no point. Oh my goodness, this movie's frustrating me the more I talk about it. Wow, it's been quite some time since a movie has frustrated me as much as The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes has. This movie is frustrating. It's so unsubtle. It so beats you over the head with everything it wants you to feel. It definitely not doing the show and telling stuff. Show me things, don't tell me things. This movie really could have been okay. It could have, I wasn't expecting perfect, but it could have been okay, and it doesn't even hit that for me. What did you guys think of this review? What do you think of the Hunger Games, this prequel, the whole franchise? Share your thoughts down in the comments below. Give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy, and make sure you subscribe to Flickering Myth for more videos just like this. Let's talk about Hunger Games and the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes right down below.